So I was thinking about last night about the video that I posted about heavily insured hospice patients will not see a support system from their family, possibly even their friends, because their friends pretty much given up. Because, yeah, I mean, when someone is that close to death, there's nothing the system would do anymore. And a person is heavily insured, like they have life insurance policies on them. There's no incentive for the beneficiaries to really do anything to help you. If anything, they want to scare you into not doing anything because they're just tired of dealing with it all. And I can appreciate that. I understand that. I get it. I don't like it. I think it's effed up, but money drives and greed drives a lot of people's situations and their actions. And so that's the world that we live in. Why this really affected me so much, or why I'm talking about this, is because I'm looking at somebody who is starving on one end, on the other end of the spectrum. So we had that guy Bruce Wilmot way back in the beginning that kind of catapulted this whole thing, and he was very emaciated, like very emaciated, and he was looking for a Hail Mary. His family wasn't really around. Maybe he had maybe a friend or so checking in on him, but he was basically on his own. He had his friends make him the juice. But what the issue is with Bruce is that he couldn't take in food. He had an issue with food. Why people die is because they have an issue with food. They are in starvation mode, and eating and recoding is painful. And so J Juice didn't kill him. Okay. Starvation is when you are absent of the meat, the milk, the cheese, the eggs, the carbs, all that stuff, and you're in a highly dynamic environment. Yeah, you're battling cancer. You have let yourself go for this long. Maybe you had a colorful past, and now everything is catching up to you. And so you have latent viruses that are coming to surface. Yes, J Juice will wake up, and then you also need to eat to code to give you that insulation, and that's painful. And so that's on that end of the spectrum. That's why he passed away, because he was very, very emaciated and not eating. Okay, and he should have been eating. And that's really the crux of why he passed away and why he ended up in hospice to begin with, because he had pancreatic cancer that really just ate him alive, like cannibalized him. And so the other end is someone who is extremely overweight, who also is in starvation mode. And they have so much to them that, yes, salt will cause bloating, but there are foods you could eat to help with that. And yeah, it's going to be a period of time where you're going to have to find intermediaries to help you breathe during that process. And so so a person in hospice who is obese are going to have to find a way to eat. And if they have issues with eating, then how are they going to live? That's the thing. If you are not eating everything in the food supply and dealing with the viral variants, and you're doing J Juice to keep yourself in a cured state, which is happening right now. I could see it with some of my J Juice crowd. They are loving the fact that they don't feel anything in the environment. They don't feel any of the new variants. They haven't felt really COVID. And, oh, here's my dog. She hears my voice. Hold on a second. They don't feel anything. They don't feel COVID, and they want to stay in the game, and they're going to end up eventually having vital organ failure. Come on, sugar, let's go. I'll just take you with me outside. I can't not let her go outside. I don't want her peeing on my floor. And so there is that end of the spectrum. And so if you don't see a reversal, if you don't see you reversing the aging process, okay, and you're on the J Juice and you're elderly or you have other stuff going on and you're not gaining weight on the J Juice or mentality, okay, because you need to be off the J Juice at some point. You should not be on the J Juice like indefinitely. you do a few waterfalls and all that, and that's the extent of it. Now you have to eat the food and deal with the bloating, dealing with everything, dealing with the pain. And if you are in like you're 65 or 60 and you're doing a bunch of jillyjuice and you don't feel anything, heart failure and liver failure, other types of vital organ failure are going to happen because you don't have any substance to you. You're still doing jillyjuice, you don't feel the evolution, and you're probably not very hungry. People who do the jillyjuice, they lose a lot of weight, right? Because they don't feel hungry. They're in a cured state. That's why it can be a great weight loss type of thing, but you lose so much substance. Where's the covalent bonding to absorb the electrical shocks when you're exposed to different viruses? That's the thing that people don't get. And so if you don't see a reverse in your aging process, where you don't see collagen in your face, and you don't see the difference in your hair, skin, and nails, then you're in a cured state of decline. And so that one virus that's going to be so influential, that electrical shock, it's going to, well, I won't say electrical shock. Well, yeah, I won't say electrical shock, but that energy, the dynamic environment is going to cannibalize you. And then your heart can't pump anymore when it doesn't have any substance. So will you have an event? Will you have an issue? You may not have an event, but you may have an event that you won't survive, that you won't even know it's an event because you'll be dead. Sugar, come here. Sugar, come here. Come on, don't go over there. And so that's the danger of those that are not getting off of the jillyjuice. And so I know who's been on the jillyjuice for a while, and I know who has stayed on it and haven't gotten off it. I know who's all into the organics shit, who is afraid of eating food, who's also very religious. And I'm telling you, you're on that, and so you may not get cancer, disease, and chronic illness, but you won't survive the environment. And that's why I say it's very important to understand balance. And if you don't understand balance with the jillyjuice world, you're not going to survive this. And so you may not have the same situation as a cancer patient in palliative care, but you will just, once people know this, like once your family members who are insuring you know this, and that you're doing the jillyjuice and you're going to stay on it forever and all this other stuff, they know that that's going to, if they're smart and they're listening to me, they will know that's what's in your future, and they will insure you right quick because they know that you're keeping doing jillyjuice, you're going to die from lack of substance. That's the thing. That's the other end of it. And so here's the thing. I know I'm giving clues to all of your beneficiaries, but I should, because you now need to have an incentive to stay alive. And doing jillyjuice when you don't need to be doing jillyjuice is going to give them that ammunition to take out insurance policies on you. Because, you know, when you think about it, how long can you be on jillyjuice in this dynamic environment? When you hardly ever are eating and you're doing jillyjuice not to feel anything in the environment, you want to be in a cured state. How long do you think that's going to last in this dynamic world? It's all thermodynamics. It's all energy. See, and that's so on one end of the spectrum, you could be emaciated and be in hospice and palliative care. And on the other end, you could be so obese and be in hospice on palliative care. And both ends, they're having a hard time eating. On both ends, they have a hard time dealing with pain. And then you have someone on the jillyjuice who won't get off it, who is also like not feeling anything. They're like, oh, I got a new lease on life. I can go do this, 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 and this, and this. And they haven't really strengthened their vital organs. So you know what's next for them? Heart failure. Failure, just vital organ failure. Because there's no substance to them. They cannot evolve in a dynamic environment. So being in a cured state is not exactly the optimal thing on a continuous basis. Intermittent, plateaus and choosing when you need to be in a cured state and when you need to evolve, that's the strategy of jillyjuice, but you have to reverse all your issues. And you're not going to know it until you get off the jillyjuice. When some said, oh yeah, I took all this stuff for COVID-19, or I had COVID-19 for 8 weeks, now I'm going to do the jillyjuice and do a whole reset, and they're probably still on it, and they won't get off it, or they get off it and they feel something like, oh my God, I'm going to get COVID again, and then they get back on it again. Guess what? They're headed that direction because they choose not to feel the viral variants, and when you are doing so much jillyjuice, you don't want to eat. I've had someone tell me, and myself too, that's how I was able to lose that much weight, because you don't want to eat when you're on the jillyjuice. Or if you do so much J juice, I remember I was very hungry after doing a few waterfalls. But I didn't do J juice every day. Now I said, yeah, a gallon a day for people way back then, but obviously that's changed. But that could be for a cancer patient who's also eating, so they can get themselves into remission. Not that I really knew how to say that, but I mean, that was probably what my subconscious knew, that when someone does have cancer, they probably should do a bunch of J juice, eat food, and deal with the pain of it all. But that's hard to give somebody, that's hard to apply when you are in hospice because you did not want to deal with pain your whole life. That's very hard to apply and really process when you're in palliative care because you spent your whole life taking the shortcuts all the way up to the very end. And then you're using J juice as a Hail Mary. You went to palliative care and you went to hospice and all of that because you did not want to feel pain. And that's the thing. And so that's why I get so mad at those that say, oh yeah, I've been on the J juice, still on the J juice. I don't feel anything. I can go around 40 people. I can go travel. I can do this. I can go work and do all this stuff. And I don't feel nothing. And I'm like, oh, this is the zombie apocalypse on the other end. So you can have the zombie apocalypse of people who are heavily therapeuticed and are in a cured state in a dynamic environment, messing with the glitches in their brain because they have unbalanced energy. And then there's a zombie apocalypse of those on the J juice who won't fucking get off it and are going to take away their own substance. And so there's that side of it too. Now they could be a very viable person, but they're not feeling anything. And so then all of a sudden one day they just fall over dead. Well, what happened? They weren't eating enough. They didn't want to feel the viral variant evolution. They couldn't even want to feel their own autoimmune disorders. And that's why this is all about balance. It's all about, you don't want to be on either end of the spectrum. You have to do a reset, but then at some point you have to stop with the reset. And you have to actually feel. You see, a person who can be continuously viable and immortal is they are fluid with the environment. They're not so rigid in a cured state of decline, and they're not emaciated or obese. They're not starving themselves. They're not on freaking diets. They're not on, they're not doing all the different protocols in the holistic allopathic world. They're not playing with crystals and organite. They are just working with the environment and setting their life up for evolution. And and this is the new world that we're going to be going into. That's why we have things like delivery service. That's why we have, lack of staffing in restaurants. Because yes, people are afraid to evolve, as well they should be. They've been trained by the system not to evolve. They've had their first and second lines be bypassed through Imodium, through sucking out the mucus whenever you have, a cold because you don't have the strength with your diaphragm. Our system is setting your ass up to be on your own, to figure out your evolution. And many of you will not survive it. Many of you will not. Because, you're on your pills and your powdered supplements. You're on all of your different prescription drugs. And you're losing so much weight, or you're gaining so much weight. I've seen it already in people that I've been following on my Facebook. They're in a happy state and a cured state, but their body is steadily gaining more weight. Or they're being so, disciplined because they want to lose weight that they're starving themselves. That's going to work against them too. But they'll look cute in the meantime. They'll look great on Facebook Lives. Yes, but you're hurting yourself. But you can't tell that to somebody who is just looking for the here and now. They're not even looking at tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't exist for them. But what I'm telling you, today is tomorrow. The more you starve yourself, the more you cure yourself, the less you're going to survive in this dynamic environment. And no, it's not easy. I mean, yesterday I had some pasta, like in the middle of the day. I ate like some macaroni and cheese. I made my own macaroni. Well, I didn't make it, but I boiled it and I added some cheese to it. And I fell asleep for a couple of hours, I'm telling you. And then I woke up and I wasn't really hungry for dinner. I made my husband, some pasta carbonara type of stuff. And then I think around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, I had some Cheetos because my stomach was gnawing it's like a sugar drop type of thing. So I know I'm exposed to, and I felt a little bit of heat too. I felt a little bit of rise in heat in my body, and then it just, and no dreams. I fell asleep. I fall asleep every night. Even when I take a nap during the day, like before when I had PMDD, I would take like a nap. I'd sleep all day and I'd be up all night. It would be so insanely crazy. That's why I was so miserable prior to the J juice. And so now I could take a nap during the day and do the recoding from the food that I ate, and I could still sleep at night. That's the main difference between now with the J juice mentality and dealing with evolution like PMDD or like actual menses, and before, when I had so many glitches in my hormones. And so I see a difference. You still have to evolve, yes, but it doesn't have to be so like catastrophic where you feel like your whole life is in shambles. Okay, but then also too, I was a major breadwinner for myself prior to the J juice, prior to me meeting my husband. That's why I wanted to get married, because I needed to split the division of labor. What can I be for this person, and what could they be for me? And that's like any marriage. It's a splitting, it's a division of labor, because you can't do it on your own. Okay? Because you both bring something to the table that's lacking on each end. Some people are stuck in one place and they're like, okay, and so they look for a wife to help fill in the gaps, do paperwork, do this, be this, the vector, or the what do you call it? The capacity to let their stuff. Well, anyways, I don't know where I'm going with that. But or the other, or the other person needs someone to help work on their car. I mean, there's reasons why people get married, okay? And so that's why I decided to get married, because I needed help on one end. Now I'm gaining my strength, and I still need my husband as a companion, and for other things. He still needs me. It's still a workable thing. People who are single have to be everything for themselves. They have to know how to use delivery service, know how to use handyman services. They have to know how to deal with the infrastructure in their environment. And so a single person could be viable without any help if they want to, if they understand the J juice world. Okay, because then you realize that you don't need anyone really but yourself, and then the services out there and the infrastructure, and then you can develop your brain. And so that's the whole like mentality of J juice, is being relatively independent. Relative, that's like Einstein, vantage point. What is independent to someone over here could be completely dependent upon someone over here. And that's physics. It's all different vantage points. What could be 6 over here, it could be 9 over here. That's one way to explain vantage points, and E equals MC squared, theory of relativity, special relativity. And so that's all I'm saying, is that you guys need to start figuring out what exactly you want to be now and in the future. And if it's all about now, I got to go be mobile now, I got to be accomplishing it now, which I understand accomplishing stuff now, but I'm telling you, if you don't get a hold of your health right now, there's going to be no fucking future for you tomorrow. You don't realize to what extent how people are at a deficit. People don't realize that. And so I'm just like, oh my God. And so anyways, and so starvation, when you think about it, and that's what the name of my chapter for, why people die. Starvation is the number one reason. Well, how do people starve? Because they are lacking food. They're lacking the nutrition. They have so many viral transducers in their body sending off crazy ass messages, causing them to be adverse to food, causing them to have weird hormonal, imbalances, and they don't want to feel pain. And so when you don't want to feel pain, then you're going to be malnourished, because food is recoding, and the viruses trigger that because viruses have programming. They tell the body, please process this, please regenerate that, or please attack this, please attack that. And so when you have your body fighting you on every level, and that's what I felt like when I was, when I'm talking to some people, they fight me. Their family fights me, they fight me. I don't have the strength to fight a person who I'm trying to help, as well as their family. And when a family sends a person in hospice care, the article about Bruce Wilmot, I know I'm fighting against the family who probably has a lot to gain from that person passing away. And so I pull myself out of that emotional support that I thought I could be for them, because it wouldn't be emotional support. They would lean so heavily on me because And there's nothing I can do. You have to eat food and you have to deal with the pain. And I don't care what the doctor says as far as like a bowel obstruction. Okay, you have a bowel obstruction, whatever that means, but you still need to eat food. So what are you going to do? You can't live on a freaking clear diet. You can't live on a water diet. So you're going to have to figure this out on your own. I can't do anything for a person that fights me as well as our family fights me. There's no freaking way. Not that I could do anything anyways, but I felt like maybe there was some hope for her if her family was on board. But not when they're sending her articles about Bruce. Holy shit. That's what really got me, was the fact that her own family was sending her articles about Bruce. And so I could tell that she was finding loopholes not to do this. I could tell that part of her wants to live and a part of her just wants to give up. And, you know, and you, as a caregiver, when you're dealing with that and you're wanting someone who says they want to live, and you detect that they're fighting you on trying to live, that's when you need to pull out. You just do what you got to do. You just give them what the doctor says, because you still give them options. You can still put that piece of yogurt or that piece of bread or that piece of whatever in their nightstand. Either they're going to eat it or not. That's the only thing, is you give them the options if you're a caregiver, but that's as far. There's no begging anyone to live. There is no begging anyone to live. And so that's what some people will have to face when they are faced with loved ones who they do want to live, who are fighting them. Okay? And so sometimes you just have to give up. I'm not giving up on anyone, but I can't do anything more than what they have to do for themselves. And that's the real conundrum with all of this, is the fact that you really can't save anyone. They must save themselves. And you can give them all the information and all the options and all the opportunities. But if they're too busy being distracted and being all whatever it is they're all, then you just pull out and you just walk away. It's hard for me in this world now to really have any kind of relationship with anyone except for my husband, because I'm committed to him. So I'll do everything I can to make sure that he stays alive. And if, he has run into some issues, I'll find a way to pick up and fill in the gaps somewhere. Okay? And that's my commitment to him. That's why I married him, for better, for worse, for richer, or for poor, until death do us part. Not me dying, but till death do us part. Some people are in relationships where they're so abusive they can't be in that relationship. So that's not always going to be. But right now I'm in a very good relationship. He has his views. I have my views. He does take personal responsibility on certain things. Others, okay, I'll take that responsibility. And we make it work. He knows my weaknesses. I know his weaknesses. And whatever comes down the road, I'm prepared for it. And that's why I'm trying to get this stuff figured out with the book, because I want that to be out in the market and out of my hair. So when things do go kind of crazy, I can go and finally work at a job and still be viable and also sell my book in the meantime. But if that doesn't make any money, then I will work out there in the world and deal with the world and help support my family. And so that's my plan of action. Okay? I'm not banking on getting rich off my book. I just need to get that part of my life completed. I can't put out something that's half-assed. So right now I have the time while he's well and he's viable, so that way I can get this done for myself and for all of you, and then I can move on to whatever is the next thing, whatever that is. I have no idea. But this world is very dynamic, and you must understand that you have to feel the viral variants. You must feel that. And if you don't, you're in a cured state of decline, and it will work against you. And so I'm going to go, but you got to know this is the world that we live in now. We have 7 billion people we have to get through. 7 billion people. That's a lot of viral variants we have to deal with. 7 billion viral variants we have to deal with. You see, I feel the environment. Okay? And I have a diaphragm, and I have my first lines all figured out. And so I will survive in this fluid environment. But some of you I have questions with, that you're going to survive this because you don't want to feel anything. You want to go out there and make all your money and do whatever and not taper down your lifestyle. And that will work against you. And that's what the system's doing. They're trying to now taper down people's lifestyles. by getting you at the micro level. And either you will adapt or you won't. All right, bye.